Week 1 is officially here, and the Bengals play the Browns in Cleveland on Sunday. It is time to set expectations for the 2025 Bengals. Plus, we'll look at the odds for Sunday's game and discuss an important positional battle as well right now on Enter the Jungle. Hi again, everyone, and welcome into Enter the Jungle. He's Andrew Fox-Miller. I'm James Rapien. Catch us every single Tuesday at 8 Eastern right here on the YouTube channel Cincinnati Bengals Talk weekly on FanDuel Sports Network. And shout out to our sponsors. That's right, from FanDuel to Lakespur Marketing and Garage Beer. Look at you, Andrew, in your Garage Beer swag. Look at that with a little GBA jam. I will say this. I think both of us enjoy a little GBA jam. Who doesn't when it comes to Garage Beer? But let's dive into the regular season. It's Bengals, it's Browns. It's week 1 on Sunday, 1 o'clock at, I believe it's Huntington Bank Field now. It used to be Cleveland Browns Stadium and First Energy Stadium and all these different names, but Huntington Bank Field is where I will be, where Joe Burrow will be. Let's just start with high-level expectations for the 2025 Cincinnati Bengals. We've gotten through training camp. We know they're relatively healthy. They've played in preseason games. We've seen Joe Burrow more than we've seen him at any point throughout camp and preseason in his career. Where are you at, Andrew, for your expectations for this 2025 Cincinnati Bengals team?
Well, let's start with, for me, the obvious expectations: a better defense. Not just a defense that isn't quite literally the worst, but a defense that can step up and contribute to positive momentum. And like enough game-changing plays that we can claim are major reasons for some wins that this team can achieve. So yes, my expectation is a better defense.
It's interesting you say defense because I have zero expectations for the defense.
Oh boy.
What can I expect? I don't know what to expect. I haven't seen Al Golden, even if it's one NFL defensive coordinator.
One level, one numerical jump in the rankings. Like, you know what I mean?
I think logically you're right. But me personally, I don't know. I don't know what to expect. So much so that I thought they were good in training camp and in practices. And then I see them in the preseason and they look way worse than last year. And so that's part of it for sure. The other part of it is we haven't seen Trey Hendrickson out there outside of practice last week. He's their best player. How effective is a rookie like Shamar Stewart going to be? I think he's their best defensive end, not named Trey Hendrickson. Where does that go? How does that work? Does TJ Slate make a real impact? Are these linebackers good? Are they not good? Can Logan Wilson still play? The secondary is filled with question marks. And even a guy like Dax Hill, who I'm super bullish on, he's got to go out there and show it consistently. And so I just can't. Even going up against the Browns, I don't know. I think they're going to be pretty good or should be pretty good against this Browns offense on Sunday, but I don't know that. And I'm not sure I even expect it because I don't know what to expect from this crew because I look and I see question mark. We'll see how he fits. Question mark because he's a rookie. Question mark. Like there's so many questions. I will say this, though. I'm excited to get some answers this week.
Okay. I hear you. And I understand there's a fine line between expectations because it's on paper should happen and expectations as in you'd better. I get that. Yes. But with that said, this probably teeters that line yet again, but I'll have you work with this one. This is my only other high level one I'll just put out there. Expectation to be a playoff contender, not just a playoff contender, but a lock. I'll even go another step further and say that because the 0 playoff appearances in the past 2 years during the Joe Burrow era, that whole narrative needs to change into, a healthy Joe Burrow only missed the playoffs once in his career, and that was the 2024 season. My expectation is that this team is a playoff contender. There's no reason they shouldn't get into the postseason. I understand the defense plays a role in that we just talked about. But again, if you're a better defense, not the best, not remarkably better, but better, my expectation is you're in the postseason.
I'm going to take it a step farther. I expect them to make the playoffs regardless of what the defense does.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
And that's going to be this crazy, like, oh, what are you talking about, James? Didn't you watch last year? The offense wasn't perfect last year. Right. The offense was flawed last year. The offense had some Herculean efforts, but there was some flaws, some very obvious flaws, some things that they could fix, some things that they could clean up, some things that should be better starting Sunday. And I expect them to be better on Sunday in Cleveland, even though it's a tough matchup, even though that pass rush is there, because Joe Burrow had his best training camp that we've seen. And I mean, he was awesome, consistent day in and day out, and obviously had some really, really high end. I'm the only guy on the planet that can do this type of practices. But you have Jamar Chase and you have T. Higgins, and then you have Chase Brown. And then there's another layer where it's Mike Gesicki and Andre Yosevich. And then there's another layer where it's Noah Fant. And who knows, maybe it's Charlie Jones or Mitch Tinsley. Like, there are so many guys that we've seen make plays. Maybe it's Samaje Perine or Tosh Brooks. Look at how many guys I named there. Like, there's so many answers and buttons that Joe Burrow can press and Zach Taylor can go to in different moments that they should make the playoffs. Even if the defense is 25th, 28th, they should still make the playoffs because they have one of the best quarterbacks on the planet, the best receiver on the planet, a pretty solid offensive line. We'll talk about the offensive line coming up, but outside of right guard, it feels pretty good. Maybe we'll feel differently about Dylan Fairchild after Sunday's game in a bad way, but as of now, I'm not worried about him. He's played pretty well, and if he plays well on Sunday against those dudes, then I'm going to be pretty darn confident in the rookie moving forward. Like, expectations are so high for this offense, and I have high expectations for Evan McPherson. I have high expectations for Ryan Rico and William Wagner and the special teams unit. I look at it, it's like, okay, well, yeah, maybe the defense does stink again. Maybe they just don't have enough talent. Maybe it just doesn't work. And even if it doesn't, they should still make the playoffs. And that's my expectation. They definitely make the playoffs. And so we agree there. We better be talking about football being played for the Cincinnati Bengals in mid-January. Put it that way.
Yeah, it's way more fun for this too. Let's give us something meaningful to talk about in the month of January and even February. Absolutely.
Not a Trey Hendrickson's future.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's what a win.
Coming.
That's the win. We don't have to worry about that, at least for this season, right?
For a few months.
Okay. Yeah. If we're doing segments, put it this way. If we're doing segments talking about what's going to happen with Trey Hendrickson's future in November, even, like, this team, something's going wrong, and I don't like that.
Yeah. It's January or bust. It's that simple. Dan Pitcher made that reference earlier this week, and that should be the expectation for the 2025 Cincinnati Bengals. But let's take a look at the odds. We'll do that coming up next. Will they handle business against the Cleveland Browns on Sunday in Cleveland? The Bengals are favored. We'll check it out courtesy of FanDuel coming up next. Will Joe Burrow and the Bengals beat the Browns on Sunday in Cleveland? That's a question that we're hopefully going to answer here in the next few minutes. I'm James Rapien. He's Andrew Fox Miller. Welcome back to Enter the Jungle. This segment is brought to you by FanDuel, and we're about to check out the FanDuel odds. FanDuel's getting you ready for the NFL season with an offer that you don't want to miss. New customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet $5, and if it wins, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets. You can build parlays, player props, ride the lines live, or whatever your style is with FanDuel. Check out FanDuel.com/bigplay. Again, that's FanDuel.com/bigplay to download the FanDuel app and get started. You must be 21 plus and present in Ohio. First online, real money wager, only $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. And Andrew, the Bengals are 5.5-point favorites in Cleveland, going up against a team in the Cleveland Browns that has had their number at times during the Joe Burrow era. Initial thought when you find out that FanDuel has them as 5.5-point favorites, what's going through your mind?
What's going through my mind is it's interesting. The fact that recent history suggests that you should probably bet against the Bengals in the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season. So what's interesting to me is are they going to change this? And I know we're talking about the spread here, but are they really going to reset those expectations? And it seems to me like it's a pretty conservative spread. But when you factor in how they start off their seasons as of late, what are you going to do?
I'll say this. The Bengals should win on Sunday. The Bengals should win by more than 5.5. They should. And I think any logical person that follows the NFL would view it that way. Doesn't mean they will. There are plenty of times they should have already beat the Browns. And there are times they go out there and you're like, what in the world? What just happened? How are they down by this much? I think back even to when Baker Mayfield was in Cleveland, it was 41-16 at Paycor. And Joe Burrow and the Bengals drive downfield, and then it's a Denzel Ward pick six, and they just never really recover. Those are the type of games that are like in the back of your mind almost. It's not just the calf game, the week 1 calf game, which everyone remembers from a couple of years ago. There are plenty of them. And I just think on paper, and the game isn't played on paper, the Bengals have too many answers on offense. That is the theme. They have too many answers. Even if that secondary for the Browns plays well, that doesn't mean Chase Brown's going to be bottled up. Even if you handle both Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Chase Brown, well, then there's a guy named Mike Gesicki and Andre Yosevich and then Noah Fant. Joe Burrow should be able to make that work. And that's what I expect. And so I would say, all right, well, 5.5 is completely fair. And I think the Bengals are going to win by more. I also know why the line is there, especially week 1. That seems like, oh, well, the Bengals are definitely going to cover that. Division opponent, first week. You don't really know how the Browns offense is going to look. This weird defense with the Bengals that's trying to put it together. I could definitely see this being a close game. And there's certainly a path for the Browns to win.
And if 2024 is anything to go by, this is a Bengals team that has been constantly in games or letting teams get back in games. So there's a reason why I think I saw it was 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 games. Like they're 7-2 against the spread in their last 9 road games, because a lot of those games were decided by 1 score. Will that continue? Again, I hope they change. They completely buck the trend on this, and they should against the Cleveland Browns, but they also should have against the New England Patriots and so on and so forth. I won't go down that road, but yeah.
A reminder, these odds courtesy of FanDuel. Make sure you check them out. FanDuel.com/bigplay today. And 47.5 is the over-under. Quickly, what do you think? Over or under?
I'm going under.
I would go under too.
Yeah.
So we agree there. Under. Again, turn a $5 deposit, and when that first deposit wins, get $300 in bonus bets at FanDuel.com/bigplay. Up next, it's time to talk trenches. Who's going to start for the Bengals at right guard on Sunday? We'll discuss it coming up next. Who is going to start for the Bengals at right guard on Sunday in Cleveland? It's a question a lot of us are asking. It's time to discuss it, courtesy of Lakespur Marketing. Lakespur Marketing is the team that, well, can be your trusted marketing agency. They have a broad range of experience. Regardless of the industry, Lakespur Marketing prides themselves on building partnership. Their proof, well, it's in their partners, including us. Visit lakespurmarketing.com today. And Andrew, let's dive into this right guard battle. And I say that in quotes, battle.
Yeah.
Because to me, this seems pretty cut and dry. It seems like it's going to be Lucas Patrick. He's taken like all the first team reps at right guard for the past month plus. And yet the door open, at least going into Wednesday, that who knows, maybe it will be Dalton Risner, who was signed 10 days before the start of the regular season, signed last Thursday. I don't think it's going to be rookie Jalen Rivers. How are you viewing this right guard battle? Obviously, it's so important to have the right guard in place, especially against Myles Garrett and company on Sunday.
So Lucas Patrick, we technically atop the depth chart on paper. All right. But let's talk about Dalton Risner and where this guard battle is going to go truly, because I think the only battle is Dalton Risner's crash course as the newest offensive lineman on the Cincinnati Bengals. Like, because of his experience, because of the evaluations we've at least heard about him or seen for ourselves, the PFF grades, and really because of what we've seen so far with the other options on this roster at right guard, I think it's fair to say that Dalton Risner is the presumed starter, even if it's not listed as such on the next several, for the next several weeks. I like the idea that Jalen Rivers could maybe challenge Risner for meaningful snaps because he needs them. Dalton Risner, though, has seen a lot of meaningful snaps in his career, and he's not a liability from what we know up to this point And that's huge. For me, I just assume Dalton Risner, it's his job to lose, in a way of saying it that way, I guess.
Dalton Risner is going to start for the Bengals this season. I have no doubt in my mind. The when, I think, is going to be after Sunday. It might not be right after Sunday. If Lucas Patrick plays well against the Browns and he starts, well, then I think he gets a second start and they'll go from there. But the reason why it would be, I think, in an ideal world, Dalton Risner would start Sunday, this Sunday against the Browns, is because that means that he forced their hand. I don't think they're handing him anything. And so if he's that caught up, that up the speed, shows them that much that quickly, I think that would be like, man, 66 has just been awesome. He's got to play. I think he's going to be active. I don't think that's going to happen. And I'm not sure there's a realistic path for it to happen, assuming Lucas Patrick is healthy. He's taken the reps and he has played better than the perception of him online would say. Doesn't mean he's been perfect. Doesn't mean he's going to play well against the Browns. But I do think Lucas Patrick is better than what the perception of him is among the fan base right now, especially on social media. So I think it will be Risner at some point. Maybe it is Sunday. But I do think this is one of those times where the depth chart and the vibes are both going in the right direction, in that right direction for right guard, at least for the Bengals and how they view it. Week 1, I think, is going to be Lucas Patrick.
No matter what, I sense that there will be a storyline when the snap count totals come out after this week 1 game. Seeing that, it reminds me of when Amarius Mims, I know this is not the same, but it reminds me when Amarius Mims was out there last year, going out there and it's like, okay, how much was Amarius Mims? How much was Brown? Understanding like how things were going to start evolving and growing for his role. Dalton Risner, like you said, for me, presumed starter. And I think we'll see that snap count grow if it doesn't take a complete leap during or slightly after week 1.
That segment brought to you by Lakespur Marketing. Check them out today at lakespurmarketing.com. Up next, from the offensive line to the defensive line, they added a veteran, a 2-time Super Bowl champ. We're going to discuss him and much, much more coming up next. Welcome back to Enter the Jungle. He's Andrew Fox-Miller. I'm James Rapien. And the Bengals, well, they've added multiple veterans over the past month, from Noah Fant to Dalton Risner last week, and now Mike Pennel, a 2-time Super Bowl champion, a nose tackle, a true nose tackle, to be behind TJ Slayton. He signed to the practice squad, Andrew. There's a chance that he plays this week, has a history with Jerry Montgomery, the Bengals defensive line coach, and is someone that I think is going to contribute a really nice addition here late in the season, a 34-year-old proven nose tackle that can help against teams like the Browns in the run game.
Yeah, I mean, thinking about this group, first of all, same thing with Dalton Risner. If you've got the experience, I welcome you. You know what I mean? Like, please, this line needs it overall. But we've said it before. It's so strange, by the way, to talk about the defensive line as a concern time and time again, yet no position group on the current defense has a Trey Hendrickson on it. I feel the same way about like the defensive line as I feel about the secondary and even the linebackers, in that I see the potential. I think there's like a ceiling that we can be excited about. We just haven't seen them even come close to their potential. So hopefully Al Golden can change that. Hopefully Shamar Stewart could change that. I know what Trey Hendrickson can do. Adding a player like Pennel, again, I welcome anyone with experience into the trenches of the Cincinnati Bengals. I especially welcome anyone with rings into the trenches. We might be waiting for some idea of what the ceiling could be for the D-line, but players like him help tremendously with the floor, if nothing else, to just simply reinforce the foundation that they're trying to build upon.
I would have him active on Sunday. I'll just say it right now.
Fired it, like lock it in.
I would, because you need to stop the run. Like that's such a huge part of what the Browns are going to try to do. And he's proven, and assuming he's in shape and can do that, which I don't know why he wouldn't be. I think he had his options and chose Cincinnati. I would elevate him from the practice squad. I would have him active in TJ Slayton, Mike Pennel. They give you some real meat on the interior.
Pennel, by the way, I do find it interesting. Obviously, it's interesting that he's coming from the Chiefs, of course. But I don't think Chiefs fans especially were very thrilled about him leaving as far as like a depth rotational piece. And I think he seemed to be somewhat of a fan favorite to a degree. He's out there on social media like, hey, next chapter, this kind of hype talk, and then he signs with the Bengals, says he wants to be with a contender. He made his decision quick. And I know we don't play the Chiefs. The Bengals do not play the Chiefs in the regular season, but it's a storyline, right? Come January, potentially.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a storyline, and it's something that the Bengals, the reason you go get a Mike Pennel is because you think that he's going to be able to help. You talked about the experience a few minutes ago. That experience in January is what really matters. But Mike Pennel also understands all this fast start talk. He also understands how to win games when you're not playing your best ball. And that's really what a fast start means. The real true contenders aren't playing their best ball in September, but they still win games. And so can Mike Pennel help them do that? Maybe he can, Andrew, and maybe he can Sunday. The more I hear, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, all right, well, Mike Pennel against a run first, and that's what they're going to be, Brown's team, it'd be nice to have him around. Don't be shocked. Don't be shocked if he's elevated from the practice squad. I think it would make sense.
Do you think there's like a handshake understanding with all this, right? I mean, I don't think he would just go to, I know he's excited about being on a contender. That's the standard he's set for himself at this point in his career. But I imagine he's got some expectation. We talk about expectations in the first segment. I imagine Mike Pennel, the Bengals have some expectation that he's going to be in there. And I guess like a McKinley Jackson might be on the bubble now at this point.
I don't know about cut bubble, but he may be inactive, or Howard Cross probably inactive. And you get a guy in Mike Pennel if he's ready to go. He just signed with the team this week, but wouldn't shock me at all if we see him out there on Sunday. Obviously, we're going to have you covered every step of the way, and make sure you check us out on the YouTube channel, Cincinnati Bengals Talk. Until next time, for Andrew Fox Miller, I'm James Rapien. Thank you so much for watching and listening to Enter the Jungle.